You guys remember the last prediction show that we did? I believe it was WrestleMania. we all had like the same pick for like the first 6 matches.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that. we gotta start chopping it up a little bit more.
Thankfully, I'm here to tell you that's not the case today, ladies and gentlemen. I promised bold predictions, and I am going bold predictions. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the all-new Takedown on SI YouTube channel. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, like over 300 of you have already done so far since we launched this channel just a couple short weeks ago. We appreciate the support. We got a lot of great content coming your way here on the Takedown on SI. Rick Ucchino, Adam Bernard, and Zach Haydorn with you here once again. It is WWE Crown Jewel prediction time, and ladies and gentlemen, we have more than 5 matches to break down here for a WWE PLE. We're working overtime here. Adam, this is somewhat surprising. I thought they'd stop at 6, and then they squeezed one more in us on on Monday Night Raw because we had to get another Bloodline match in here.
Hey, listen, you know what they say, when Papa H is cooking, stay out that kitchen, man. That's all I'm saying. He's cooking up a storm right now, and I think I'm glad to see them go outside the mall, but I'm curious where this Bloodline story is going to go. But I have my thoughts on it. We'll get there. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse here. So.
I don't know, Zach. I just thought this was like the perfect pay-per-view where like you could kind of hold off on doing any kind of Bloodline stuff, and because we know we're going to see all 7 of these men plus one more involved in Survivor Series in Canada here in a few weeks. Do we need to have that match this weekend? I mean, they probably wanted Roman Reigns on the card, so they're going to get Roman Reigns on the card. But I don't know. I was surprised they added this match.
Saudi Arabia gets what Saudi Arabia wants. And I mean, I think you wanted Roman Reigns on this card. I mean, right? Like he's coming back. Like you do have some chapters that you need to get to between now and Survivor Series, because if you're going to do the big Bloodline versus Bloodline War Games match, you got to have the original Bloodline kind of ready to go. And so this to me was added in as a chapter in that story, not necessarily like that it won't be a good match or a fun match or anything like that. But to me, it's very much a storytelling prop to get to that bigger War Games match. And Roman Reigns wrestling is, a side benefit of that. But, this is I don't know what they're going to do. I have got my thoughts. We'll get to it, of course. But
I was going to say, why don't we just start right there? I'll call an audible. I had this one down the line, but screw it. We'll just hop on this. It's not quite OG Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0. We have 3 of the OG members together. Of course, there's one more waiting in the wings, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get Sami Zayn back into the fold. We saw him on Monday Night Raw in the parking lot talking with Solo Sikoa. Obviously, they want to kind of make that look like it could be something else, but maybe it's just kind of a private conversation like we saw with Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa on SmackDown before they ultimately cost him the Intercontinental Championship. But this has been a wild ride thus far to get just these 3 guys back together. Adam, I loved how they used the Intercontinental Championship to finally put it on Jey and use that as a major catalyst to get him back. At the time, I'm like, man, that was a bit of a surprising title change. It only lasted 21 days, but it meant something. It was used as a storyline figure to get Jey back into the fold. We'll see how they eventually get Sami back into the fold. To me, though, you need to get Sami back in the fold because the Bloodline 2.0 is still unstoppable with the 4-3 advantage. To me, that means they're winning this thing going away on Saturday.
I don't disagree with you at all. And to Zach's point, what we were talking about earlier, as far as when it comes to the Crown Jewel events and, Super Showdown, you have to remember historically, a lot of these events were one-offs, right? You had The Undertaker versus Goldberg. You had the match that we were talking about in the green room, right? To Generation X and the Brothers of Destruction. That was like 20 years too late. But those events, I'm sorry, it's public knowledge. Everybody knows how bad it was. Even they said it. But anyway, when you look at those initial premium live events, they were all inside of a vacuum, right? They didn't have anything to do with the storyline. It didn't advance any part of anyone's narrative or anything else. Exactly, right. So now what's nice is that they're building and incorporating these storylines, specifically one of them that is arguably, I would say, the best storyline that WWE has produced in probably the past 30 years. With the Bloodline, and now you have the story coming back, and you're building towards this major event at War Games with Survivor Series, which we believe is where it's going, right? I love the fact that they incorporated the Intercontinental title into this, and I'm glad they gave main event Jey Uso his shine, because I feel like it was overdue, right? It's like we've talked about this kind of individually and then collectively as well. It's like there's a certain shelf life when it comes to those types of moments, right? LA Knight with the Universal, or rather the United States title. It was either now or never. It had to happen when it did, and it finally did, and it paid off in dividends. Same thing with Jey Uso, except in this instance, he doesn't have the title anymore. That was just a vehicle to get him back with the Bloodline. You will recall that Jey Uso was the anchor point of that entire story. Jey Uso is the guy. He has consistently been the fable and the foil to Roman Reigns throughout this entire thing. So him coming back here is a major moment. What that means for Sami Zayn, I think you're going to see Jey lean into that trust level that he and Sami had built in the original Bloodline. And I think, to your point, Rick, I think it was just more of one of those conversations where, in the vein that Jey and Solo had, I don't think it's anything more than that. And I think you will see that team reform right before Survivor Series. But overall, I mean, again, consistently with this Bloodline story, they've been firing on all cylinders since the pandemic era. And I can't see it stopping anytime soon.
So are you picking 2.0 this weekend?
I think so. I think I'm picking 2.0. If I may make a bold prediction, sir, I think that Roman Reigns eats the pin. And I think Solo Sikoa is the one who pins him. Because I don't think you get that payoff with Jacob Fatu. I see Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns as a WrestleMania match. That is what I believe is a WrestleMania match, potentially for the main event. But I think in terms of story, there's going to be some kind of gaga. There's going to be some kind of madness. And Roman eats the pin from Solo, which then adds another dynamic and another layer to this struggle between the tribal chiefs.
So, see, I have some bold predictions I'm going to make for today's show. That ain't one of them. I think no offense to no offense to Big Jim. The Big Jim is in this to take the 3. Let's be honest about one thing. Jimmy Uso eating that pin, and he eating it hard. Zach, what do you think?
Okay.
Oh, yes. Big Jim is certainly eating the pin in my eye.
Big Jim.
So I'm not willing to go out on that ledge with you, Adam, but I do agree with you guys that Bloodline 2.0 are going to win this match, and they should. They need to. I mean, look, part of the reason why I don't think this whole kind of reunion of the old Bloodline is like as on fire as that group was back when they first were together, because I just don't think they've got like truly strong, viable heels to go up against. Like, how many times has Solo Sikoa just been dusted by Cody Rhodes, speared by Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns and Cody have beaten them, right? They need like a coming together moment where they can overpower the old Bloodline and really have people a bit worried that, like, man, wow, like, okay, they're a real thing. And so now and then you bring Sami back, the gang's back together, and you go to War Games. But you have to have that definitive like heat moment. And they've flirted with him, I feel like, but they haven't really gone there with it yet. And I think this win here should be that for them. So whether that's beating Roman Reigns, I mean, that certainly would do it.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, that's your flash moment. Yeah.
Or just dusting, one of the Uso guys. Either way, this has to be about getting the heel Bloodline 2.0 faction over big. And I think that they use it that way. I think they recognize that. And for War Games to be hot, that heel group has to be clicking.
Yeah, you have to have the 2.0 remain hot here. So there's a reason to not only bring Sami Zayn back into the fold, but eventually you're going to be bringing the wise man Paul Heyman back as well. And then they will be officially on full firing on all cylinders. It's going to be the 5-on-4 advantage. And then we see, who WWE wants to put over at Survivor Series. Because once this is way more predictable than what I think Survivor Series would be. Yeah. Right now, I would lean that the OG goes over. But at the end of the day, if you want to make the next generation, you go with the younger guys. So I don't know, or the newer guys, I should say. There's a hodgepodge of ages here. We'll skip over that. All right, let's go into our first title match of the evening. And I mean legitimate titles, not those god-awful crown jewel things. The United States Championship is on the line as LA Knight, defends it in a triple threat match. Carmelo Hayes, Andrade. Adam, do you keep the belt on LA Knight here? Or is it time to reward Andrade or Carmelo Hayes for this spectacular best of 7 series that they had right up until, LA Knight freaking ruined it. Just trashed it. Such a freaking bird with authority and just said, screw game 7.
I have struggled with this match particularly because each of these 3 individuals deserves that title in their own unique ways. I think the best of 7 matches with Andrade and Carmelo Hayes was a very WCW-esque cruiserweight style setup. I really enjoyed the storytelling that they did with this. It had those vibes from back in that time, right? I'm really conflicted on this one because on one hand, I want to see LA Knight's trajectory continue, but on the other hand, I want to see him chase the belt again. I want to see him go back for that title chase. Andrade deserves this as well. Carmelo Hayes deserves this as well. If I were a betting man, if I were a safe man, I would put it on LA Knight to retain and push forward through to Survivor Series, where I think he drops it at that point. Historically speaking, and even from the last PLE they did in Saudi Arabia, I don't believe they had any title changes at that event, did they? Everybody retained. So if they're doing that same kind of setup here, I imagine that they're going to keep, or was that Bad Blood? I can't remember which one it was, but everybody retained that had a title that night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the last show in Saudi Arabia, that's when, no, sorry, I'm thinking at least the last international show they had.
Right.
They had the women's tag team titles change,
and that was
and that was in Glasgow and made a ton of sense.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, but everybody else say the same. I think that's going to be the same thing. I think they drag this story out into another. Again, same thing with the Bloodline. They put it into another dimension, and I think that LA Knight retains until Survivor Series, and that's when he drops the belt.
Zach, where are you leaning?
I'm not leaning. I'm going LA Knight fully. I think this is definitely the way to go here. Much of what you said, Adam, I agree with. And I also think it's just it's kind of a heel heavy show when you think about, like, or at least for me, when I think about the other predictions that I'm going to make here, a lot of it leans that heel direction. This gives the show kind of like a good, maybe if it's the opening match, gives it like a nice, flair to open. You get the LA Knight, who's, has been over in Saudi Arabia in the past, a W. And I just think fundamentally, like, shouldn't end title reigns like in triple threat matches. Like, I just think that there's something not genuine about that. And whether it's Andrade or Carmelo Hayes that beat LA Knight, having that happen in the singles match, I think, is more impactful. So I'm going with LA Knight here, and then we'll see where things lie, heading into Survivor Series.
You guys remember the last prediction show that we did? I believe it was WrestleMania. we all had like the same pick for like the first 6 matches.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. we gotta start chopping it up a little bit more.
Thankfully, man. I'm here to tell you that's not the case today, ladies and gentlemen. I promised bold predictions, and I am going bold predictions. I look at what we saw on Friday, where LA Knight, and I know he is typically not the your stereotypical baby face, right? He's more of that anti-hero. I march to the beat of my own drum, and you love me anyway, and you just cheer for me, right? React however you see accordingly. Him flipping the bird to that best of 7 was a total Shane McMahon level chicken shit heel move, where he said, screw you guys, I win game 7. I'm the best. Screw this. I'm the champ. I'm out. There was nothing redeeming about that. There was no way you could cheer that. That was a legitimate give me some heat moment. I look at the landscape of Friday Night SmackDown, and I think Triple H is going, okay, I got Randy, who's over. Is Kevin Owens a heel? Are we turning him heel? I'm not sure, but he's still over. You got Cody. They just turned AJ Styles whenever he's back, and hopefully that's soon. They turned him back babyface. I'm thinking they're looking at the landscape of SmackDown and going, we need another big bad outside of the Bloodline. And LA Knight is such a great heel I know you want to love him and everybody cheers for him and this, that, and the other thing, but I think he makes an even better heel. I think we're on the verge of channeling him down that path to make a heel turn, which is why I feel like this is a moment where you can really piss him off and set him on a warpath. You talk about elevating, right? He doesn't need the United States Championship to elevate. You can make him a monster heel, and maybe down the line he's challenging Cody for the WWE Championship, right? So that's a way you can elevate him as a heel, where he could be your fourth top babyface on SmackDown, or he could be your number one heel. Which direction do you want to go? So I think LA Knight loses this. I think he loses it to Carmelo in cheap fashion. I'm going to say Carmelo wins it. So you can put, imagine this. Carmelo Hayes, who is he always going to be linked to in NXT? Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is the United States champion over on Raw. You make Carmelo Hayes he's the Intercontinental champion on Raw. You make Carmelo Hayes the United States champion over on SmackDown, and all of a sudden they're back on the level playing field, and they're making that climb up to the main event scene by themselves. I'm going Carmelo Hayes in an upset to help lead into LA Knight's eventual heel turn. That's what I'm going with.
Damn you, Rick, for making so much sense. Damn you for making sense.
I'm sorry. It's a flaw of mine. It's a flaw of mine. My mother gave me common sense. I'm sorry. I'm just analyzing.
Listen, it checks out, though. It genuinely does. I mean, I think
my logic is sound. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but my logic is sound.
But you make sense though with your point, like to your point about LA Knight. I think one of the biggest reasons big reason what happened with LA Knight was that match he had with Bray Wyatt, forever being linked to that final match with Bray Wyatt. So that the crowd got behind him even more so after Bray's passing because they knew he was a part of that legacy. But wouldn't you love to see LA Knight go back heel and go back maybe over to Raw and finish that business with the Wyatt Six, maybe stay on SmackDown, be that big heel to challenge Cody? It checks out. I wish I could change my prediction, but I'm staying where I'm at because I think you're right.
I have a feeling we're going to disagree on this next one as well. And this is a match that I'm actually a little mad that they booked it. And that's not that I'm mad that they got all these ladies on the show. Right. Of course, I'm talking about the women's tag team championship match, as Jade and Bianca will defend against Metaphor, against Damage Control and Piper and Chelsea. All right. The reason why I'm mad here, gentlemen, mad's a strong word. The reason why I'm confused here is they have been doing a good job of creating options around Jade and Bianca for them to defend against. Right. They're blowing them all in a weekend. Like, what are we doing? Like, you could have done Metaphor this weekend, give Jakari and Lash Legend a chance to shine on a WWE PLE. I'm proud of them. I'm happy they're getting this opportunity. They could have shined on a one-on-one matchup. Then you could move back to Damage Control a little bit later down the line, since they got screwed by Metaphor out of the titles. Then maybe you can move on to Chelsea and Piper. This is like, I feel like they put all these options out here and they're burning them for a weekend. And I'm going, okay, well, if Jade and Bianca retain the titles, where the hell do you go from here? You've beaten all the competition that you have moved the chess pieces around to defend the tag team titles against, which tells me one thing. They're losing them damn belts again.
They absolutely are.
They are dropping the titles. And here is my biggest bold prediction for the show. Dakota Kai returns, helps Io Sky pin Lash Legend, and Damage Control walks away with the tag team titles. Adam, your pick.
Well, I agree with you in a lot of sense here, with a lot of places, right? The fact that it feels like they finally have some direction for these women's tag team championship. They have, it's a believable tag team with Chelsea Green, Piper Niven. You have Damage Control. You have Lash Legend. You have these teams that are built, that are finally starting to feel like they're picking up steam inside of the women's division. And it does kind of frustrate me that they are all on the card all at the same time, because you're right. You could tell that story for a long time. I don't believe Bianca and Jade are walking out of there with these titles. However, I have to disagree with you, because I think Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are going to pick up the win. I think Chelsea is as over as she has been still continuously. And I think, to me, that would be the most surprising. I almost wonder if it'll be like a gimmicky type of finish where Chelsea Green ends up being the winner by accident, right? And then you end up now building and setting the seeds with setting the tone and tenor for a potential split between Jade and Bianca, which rumor and innuendo is saying that's going to be a WrestleMania match. I don't see any world where Jade and Bianca walk out of there with the titles, as much as it hurts me to say that. But I definitely think it's going to be, I put my money on Chelsea and Piper Niven at this point.
I definitely don't think that they're not like, they're not walking away with the belts, but they're not losing them either. They're going to do a situation.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yep.
One of the other two teams gets beat. I think Metaphor is in this match to eat the pin, right? Like they're in the big gym category for this pay-per-view. They have been booked to eat the pin, but still a great shine moment for them. Chelsea and Piper would be my second pick on this. For lack of another option, but I just get the feeling it makes more sense to go with the damage control on this one, but I could see it going either way. Zach, what do you think?
Guys, I think Jade and Bianca are absolutely walking out of this stadium.
Oh, damn.
Saudi Arabia.
Look at us disagreeing all this entire time. I love it.
Talking about here. So to me, like, good points. Reasonable for sure. But to me, I just look at it like I'm taking like the Occam Razor's approach to this. Like, this is exactly what it looks like, which is we want to get these teams on the card. We want, we don't want to have, we don't want Damage Control to do another clean job to Jade and Bianca. Same thing with Chelsea Green. They're on different brand. They're not going to cross paths that much. Like, here, let's just load it up to make it seem bigger than it actually is. And then let's get back to like our normal lives when we come back and do Raw on Monday. I think
by normal, do you mean we just won't put the women's tag team titles on television? Is that what you mean? Because there's nowhere to go from there.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah, like they're not like to this point, they just have not been a focus. And like, this tells me not that they're a focus. This tells me that they're an afterthought. Well, we don't know what to do. Yeah. We don't know what to do. So we're going to put all this in there and go. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we get some, an actual like angle here, or, we do see Chelsea and Piper get like, put over like that in any way. Just holding the titles, I think, helps to that end. If we see like dissension within Bianca and Jade's team, I think that would be telling. So, I'm in for more here, but until we see this play out, I'm going with like the approach that seems like most like WWE of the last 6 months, which is,
I do going back to your point, Adam, if Chelsea pulls this off, if she wins this, it's definitely one of those things where she either gets knocked out on top of somebody or somebody does the damage and she does that whole like Io hits the moonsault, she chucks her out, and then she covers and
she pins it. Yeah, that's exactly my thought. That's the only way. And it's not because Chelsea Green's not an incredible performer. It's just, it works with the gimmick,
that's
right?
Her character.
It works with the story. Absolutely.
So, that's her character. She would, can you just imagine her like doing that spot? Like, oh, it'd be pretty good.
It writes itself, man. It's perfect.
All right, let's try to crank through a few of these here because we're running a little bit longer than I had anticipated. These two horses are just going to beat the absolute piss out of one another. We are the real winners on this one. These guys have been spectacular, going back to the 6th Tsunami night that set up this entire thing. This is the one that's hardest to predict for me. Seth Rollins obviously going up against Bronson Reed here. I'm going to pick with hope. Bronson needs it. He needs it bad. He's got the size advantage. Seth has been, look, Adam Pearce played this up perfectly. Seth has been dealing with injury issues. I think you can play off of that. You can have Seth not be 100%, especially heading into a match with Bronson Reed after the damage he's taken. I think Bronson needs to win this one, and I'm going to try to will it to happen. I'm going to take Bronson Reed in this one, Adam.
I am with you. Not only do I want Bronson Reed to win this, as our dear friend Big E would say, we want to see big meaty men slapping meat. Not only do I think Bronson Reed wins this, I want this to be a Brock Lesnar, John Cena level smash.
Wow,
I want it to be a destructive, quick, painful match for Seth Rollins. Now, I love Seth Rollins. Don't get me wrong. As a Philadelphian with the mummers that he came out in WrestleMania, I mean, it was gorgeous. But Bronson Reed needs this way more than Seth Rollins does. And if you want to put this guy over, to your point, Rick, as a monster heel, you need him to do monster heel things. What's the best thing for him to do? Flatten Seth Rollins like a flippin' pancake. I'm going with Bronson Reed in a big way.
The only downside to that, to doing that, right, is eventually you got to build to Seth Rollins and CM Punk at WrestleMania, right? So they want to try to keep Seth strong. So if they do that, we're getting a rematch in which Seth will inevitably go over. But I wouldn't hate that for this pay-per-view. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm taking Bronson Reed here too. I don't think this is going to be their last match. I think they've got, at least another one, and heck, maybe even a third one, at some point here. But this is, I think this is like a long-term feud. I think this is early in that, and you gotta build the mountain for Seth to climb, and that starts with Bronson Reed beating him. So I'm taking the monster.
Seth does love his trilogies. We have the first ever women's crown jewel champion, which is totally prestigious and whatnot. It is Nia Jax going up against Liv Morgan. Somehow, some way, look, this has shenanigans written all over it, with Tiffany being involved and Dom being involved, and they're probably going to fly Rhea all the way out there. Somehow, some way, they already had Nia win Queen of the Ring. They had her end Bayley's title reign before it ever really had a chance to get going. She's already won those two things. I feel like this has got Liv Morgan written on it. Somehow, some way, she walks away with a cheap win here. I'm going Liv Morgan. Adam?
I have to agree with you. I have it on good authority that Tiffany Stratton will, in fact, be in Saudi Arabia this weekend. And I know that Tiffany Stratton has something up her sleeve when it comes to Nia Jax. So not only do I think that Liv Morgan wins this inaugural encrusted jewel belt championship plate server, whatever. I think it looks like my great grandmother's plates. I'm just saying, but I will say that I think not only does Liv win that title, I think that Tiffany Stratton successfully cashes in and beats Nia Jax for that title.
Okay, so we're going Liv with a side dish of Tiffany cash in. All right.
Wow.
A side dish.
I
don't know. I tried to make that work. That didn't work.
It worked. It did what you needed to do. Yeah, it worked.
We're predicting side dishes now? I don't know. Jeez. I'm taking Liv.
It's almost Thanksgiving after all.
Anyway, I call the deviled eggs. That's the only thing I want. You have everything else.
I'm taking Liv Morgan for two. I mean, I agree with you guys. I mean, look, Nia Jax, she's got her thing going on, and Liv, I think, is the one in search of like a continued search of credibility when she can get it as a world champion and as like a top heel star. This gives her something to talk about. She's just going to make this gimmick of the crown jewel champion work, I think. And so I think she's the best person to have that as a obnoxious, whiny heel. She's perfect for it. The Money in the Bank cash in, that's definitely interesting. I won't go on that limb, but my ears are perked though, Adam. Well done.
I don't see that happening until I don't see it happening until Survivor Series, and I'll tell you why. Because Naomi has earned a shot against Nia at some point by beating her.
Right.
So I think that match sets up for Survivor Series, and then Tiffany says, "I've had enough of this bish, and I'm gonna cash in on her and walk away with the championship."
So if I may, I'd like to amend that and say, because I forgot about Naomi.
I don't know if we should allow this.
How dare you forget about the glow?
I forgot about the glow.
How dare you?
I forgot about the glow, Rick. I don't know what to tell you. I forgot about it. So I'm going with
any other amendments to your order? We're just canceling the side dish.
Okay, right? So now I want the deviled eggs. I want the quarter pounder. No, stay away from that. Everybody's getting sick there.
No onions.
No onions. Please throw them in the garbage. No, I'm going to go with Liv, but I think it's going to be a continuation of that story with Tiffany trying to or laying the groundwork for that cash in. Yeah,
considering that WWE's having Tiffany do media this week, I guarantee she's going to be there. I think she is going to she's going to mess up this weekend trying to help Nia, and I think that's ultimately going to just be the next chapter in this storyline of leading to her cashing in, because Nia's going to be pissed that she lost this. She lost the shot at this prestigious championship that they're definitely going to mention more than once after Monday Night Raw. After this, they're definitely going to do that. They're not just going to forget it and just, pull out the neuralizer and go blink. You guys, we Crown Jewel. What? We'll talk about it next November.
What a reference. What a reference.
But yeah, I think Tiffany's going to cost Nia. That's going to lead to more abuse from Nia on poor Tiffany. Build up that sympathy, and they're going to find a way to turn her. Amazing to me, one of the most annoying NXT characters of all time, and they're going to turn her into a monster babyface not even a year into her call up. So that's just good work all the way around. Oh, Team RKO. Just never quite got the run I wanted you to have. It's Kevin Owens. It's Randy Orton. KO, man, it's interesting to see what's been going on with him. This guy continues to speak the truth that WWE is keeping him away for something that, is might as well be a misdemeanor offense in the world of professional wrestling. And this man is getting treated dirty. And there's all these rumors and stuff flying around about his contract situation, and they're really playing into that now on TV. Is he the hero of the story? Is Randy Orton playing some mind games to make him act a fool? I don't know where this is going to end up going. They got me hooked though. I feel like, again, I'm going to go with the guy who needs it. God dang, does Kevin Owens need a big win on a PLE? I'm picking KO to win this. I think that just makes the most sense. Randy Orton wanted it. Triple H warned him. I think KO is getting a power bomb, I think Randy Orton is getting a power bomb on the ring apron.
Yep.
And he is getting pinned in this matchup. I'm going with Kevin Owens. What do you say, Adam?
I am 100% in alignment with you on that. I think that there is no other world, especially after that Triple H appearance this past week. I don't think there's any other world in which Kevin Owens doesn't walk out of Saudi Arabia a winner. Just to your point, he needs that big win. It's also kind of amazing how they're able to spin and connect all these different storylines together and build from the bloodline, because all of this comes directly from the bloodline, right? Everything ties back to that. How does Sammy and KO's relationship change when Sammy goes back to the bloodline? That's another element and another layer to the story that people seem to forget about. But I think that is all going to come full circle at some point. But to your point, I'm trying to keep it tight because I know we're short for time. KO is going to get this win in a big way.
See, now that you say that, I want Cody and Rock without the title, and I want Kevin Owens defending the WWE Championship against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. Now that's a path that I can go down.
Do you smell that, Zach? Do you smell that? That's Papa. That's Papa Rick cooking in the kitchen.
That's what I want. And then Sammy wins the title at WrestleMania because Kevin Owens would love to put him over for that in real life, right? Like, God dang, it ain't gonna happen. So I'm not gonna say it ever again. But yeah, I'm with you. Kevin Owens needs to win this one. What do you think, Zach?
He does need to win this one. He needs to win it, and I think Randy kind of needs to lose it too. I mean, I think at some point we're going down the path of like Randy. He's going to challenge Cody at some point. I mean, I think that's a match you want to get to. And so, I could see this just being a thing, like a downward spiral for Randy or something to that effect, like coming out of this match. But more so than that, Kevin Owens really needs it. He's been a focal point of SmackDown. This is a big, storyline on the show. I think it's been intriguing. Like you said, Rick, like going into this, like when you say out loud, like, Randy and Kevin, okay. Like, I guess it's okay, but they put some good juice behind it, and I'm interested in what they do. But the thing that's making it all tick is Kevin Owens, and so I think you gotta put momentum behind him, and a nice win over Randy Orton can do that. So I'm taking KO.
All right. Well, we were on a good stretch there of disagreeing with one another, but now we have gone like 3 straight matches where we've all picked the same person. So let's see if we can find some uncommon ground on this last one. It is for that such a prestigious men's crown jewel championship thing. It is the WWE champion Cody Rhodes going up against the world champion Gunther. This match is for an absolute piece of hot garbage, but damn it. This match is going to be straight fire. Yeah. Goldberg is not going to be on this show. That is the report. He is booked elsewhere for this weekend. I'll keep it short and sweet. Without Goldberg there to cost Gunther, I think Gunther is going to somehow find a way to go over the WWE champion in this one. Cody has already gone over on that man twice in the Royal Rumble. It's time for the World Heavyweight Champion to reign supreme here. Maybe he doesn't pin him. Maybe he chokes him out. Maybe Kevin Owens gets involved. They're both going to be on the same show. I think that's a possibility. Without Goldberg there, I think that would have been Cody's avenue to win. But I think Gunther needs this one a little bit more. Make Cody look a little bit vulnerable heading into his next title defense. I'm going to go with Gunther on this one.
I had no idea that Bill Goldberg was not going to be at Saudi Arabia. So that changes the dynamic a little bit for me.
It could all be a work too. It could all be.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, right? So I'm going to give you my answer without Goldberg, which will be my official answer. I think that I have to agree with you. I think Kevin Owens gets involved somehow, or perhaps maybe this is the time that Randy Orton turns after he loses to Kevin Owens. One of the two of them is going to be involved in this match somehow and will cost him the silver-plated, gold, speckled, bejeweled tin can to Gunther.
What if Cody sticks his nose in the KO Randy match prior to the main event?
Now we're talking.
Cody wants some of KO. They haven't been in the same building in a hot minute, so that might be a direction.
Do you remember that delicious cake you were just cooking up just now? You pulled it out and it smells good, Rick. But yes, I think there's going to be some shenanigans in this. And I don't think there's no way for me that Cody walks away with that hunk of crap. So I'm going to go with Gunther. I think storyline, it makes sense. And I think that's the way we're going to go.
Just playing devil's advocate. If you're going to try and get a new championship over, Cody Rhodes is the salesman to do it, right? He's straight out of Tommy Boy. He's big Tom Callahan. Yeah. He can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. He did his damn this on Monday Night Raw with the material that they gave him to try to make this championship seem prestigious. And then, unfortunately, all you have to do is take one look at it and go, that is the 24/7 title on steroids, and you can't tell me any different. But we've laid out all the facts. Zach, you have the final word. Who's walking away with that thing?
It's going to be Gunther. It's going to be Gunther, guys. I wish I could disagree just to make the end of the show here interesting. But, I mean, to your point, there's more outs that you can build in for Cody than there really are for Gunther at this point as the heel. And just like Liv Morgan, I think like a belt like this, at least initially, like just plays better in the hands of a heel. And Gunther is such like a composed heel, and he's this longtime reigning IC champion. He's the world champion, and now he's the crown jewel champion. I mean, he's going to beat us to death with this on the microphone. It just, and Cody, to your point, Rick, you got to like pump the brakes on him a little bit. You know, he's got to have those hills to climb and people to overcome, and you got to build that into him as a babyface. So this is a good opportunity to do that. Gunther gets the W.
Yeah, I never look at Cody Rhodes, and this is not a knock on Cody Rhodes, but I don't look at him in the same vein as I look at him as a Roman Reigns, who is like this unbeatable, pun intended, final boss type character, at least until The Rock showed up. But like I kind of look at him in the same vein as a Becky Lynch. Like he's beatable. Yeah. He's beatable, but his biggest attribute is being able to rise up and get back up in the face of adversity and overcome in the end, right? So, and I say that knowing full well that there's only been like less than a handful of people who have actually pinned him since he's been back in WWE since WrestleMania 38 in Dallas. So, I think Gunther's I think that's gonna be the next notch for him. And then hopefully the next time these two meet, there's something a little bit more prestigious on the line. Zach, I think you're very, very optimistic in thinking that this Crown Jewel Championship is going to get mentioned more than like the Monday after Raw until next week.
That's what I mean.
I think it's going to be completely dropped. Like no one's going to mention
like strictly like they'll put a bow on it Monday. I mean, he's going to try to drive it home. I mean, like if you put it on TV.
This man's barely mentioned he won King of the Ring. This man has barely mentioned he's won King of the Ring. Barely.
Not like very, very rarely. Yeah.
That's true. I think that like when they on Monday, like the Monday after this show, you're going to get a heavy dose of this, of him as this like ultimate champion, right? I mean, I think that's the That's the presentation. One on one arm, the other on the other, man. I mean, it's going to happen, Rick. You're going to hate it, but it's going to happen.
Here's what I want. Here's what I want. I want Gunther to do to that championship what he did to the King of the Ring crown, where he's like, I'm not putting this shit on.
I'm not putting
this crap. I'm not holding this crap. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Yeah.
We're out.
It's just like, what the hell is this? Yeah.
We are out. We're 10 minutes over what I wanted this show to be. I appreciate you guys who stuck to the end on this. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit subscribe. Thank you guys so much for for all the support here on the Takedown on SI YouTube channel, and we will talk at you again down the line. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Crown Jewel.